I guess the first thing you have to think of, there are too many people like myself who have tested positive over 10 years ago, have never taken the antivirals, or never taken the HART or AZT or the protease inhibitors, and we're not getting sick like they said that we would, with countless of family members and family or friends who have taken those drugs and are sick. So I think that people who are only thinking conventionally about HIV and AIDS, that they would do themselves great service to actually look at people instead of just looking at numbers.
Yeah.
And that's how I became to think the way that I think, because according to the numbers, I have AIDS. But when you look at me, you see a healthy 28-year-old, that don't even catch colds. I don't spell AIDS at all. I work 70 hours a week, and it's just not consistent with what my doctor said would happen 11 years ago when I tested positive.
Do you still see the same doctor?
Yes. I see her once a year because my insurance requires that I see her once a year. And she's very upset with me for not taking the antivirals, but yet she cannot deny the fact that I'm a healthy young man. And I think she's upset that I'm healthy because they're expecting me to get sick. I attend a predominantly gay church in New York City. And of course it is preached that we are to know our status, whether we are positive or negative. And if we are positive, we are very much encouraged to take the antivirals. They call them life-saving drugs. And we are encouraged to take them. A lot of the people in our churches have become deathly ill from these drugs. Some of them have developed cancers. Some have developed liver dysfunction. And a lot have started having problems with their kidneys. And their doctors are convincing them that that the HIV is the culprit to their sicknesses. And I get this sense whenever I'm around the group, especially in cold and flu season, they're expecting me to get sick. And I have a feeling as if they're waiting on me to get sick so they can prove me wrong. A lot of these people have been positive half the time I have been, and they're already on antivirals and they're sick. When I've been positive, twice as long as them, some of them.
What do you think the reason was for them testing positive?
Oh, there are many. Oh my gosh. you could test positive just for waking up on the left side of the bed as opposed to the right. There's so many reasons why you can test positive. Of course they were talking in the conference about pregnancy, hepatitis. Just different chemistries in the body that can cause you to test positive for something.
If this is known, and if this is known in the community that you're in, why do people go ahead and test?
They test because they are, I believe it's brainwashed, and they are taught that if you have HIV, you will develop AIDS and you will die. So what is common sense to them is to know if you're HIV positive before you get sick, so you can be on antivirals and hopefully live a long life. And that is why they preach, get tested, know your status. Well, I believe that testing does more harm than good, honestly. It's a psychological war as well. Someone's constantly telling you that you're going to die. That's a bit stressful.
People are asking why Christine Majori died, and somebody even asked me that question today, and I've been wondering what I would say if somebody asked me, considering that I knew her but I had never met her. I'd only communicated with her.
Christine Majori, she is the denialist that died of pneumonia, correct? Oh, that's very interesting. People die of pneumonia, whether they're HIV positive or negative. My stepbrother last year died of lung and brain cancer. He was HIV negative. Now, I know, pretty sure that if he was positive, they would have said that he died of AIDS. But of course, they could not say that because he's negative. I have a friend in the hospital right now with pneumonia who's 30 who's HIV negative, so we can't say that it's AIDS.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
But if he was positive, they would say it was AIDS.
Do you think that the thought occurred in her mind that tens of thousands of people would be happy if she died and would even celebrate?
Yeah.
Would have an effect on her mental well-being?
Yes, I get it's a very silent oppression, but I get the same feeling even when I go to family reunions. They're expecting and waiting for me to get sick. So I feel that even in my own life with my, not just my church, but with the groups that I run around and are mostly gay, mostly HIV positive, and all of those that are positive that I know of are on medication. So for me to not be on medication and to be healthy and remain healthy is a slap in the face to what they believe.
Yeah.
And there is a silent wish that I sense that they're waiting on me to get sick and actually hoping that I get sick so they can prove me wrong.
Yeah. But you don't normally get sick.
Oh,
so,
no.
So the idea of the expectation of getting sick doesn't even need to occur to you.
I'm taking care of them when they get sick with the colds and the flus, and you know, and I love to show off my health whenever they get sick with a cold or flu. I'm hugging and kissing all over them like I always am when they're healthy, and not one person have asked me why I did not succumb to their flu. One day they'll ask. One day they'll ask why I didn't catch a cold when I was kissing all over someone who had a cold.
Are the religious leaders of this church promoting testing among people, members of the congregation?
Yeah, because you know they believe, like conventional wisdom, that when you're HIV positive, you will develop AIDS.
Yeah.
And you need to be tested. I thought it was very interesting when they would think that those who are HIV positive have a compromised immune system, when I have proven by my example that the opposite is true. There were plenty of times where I would go to church and my partner would stay at home and I'd be kissing all over someone who has a cold and come home and he'll get sick the next day and I wouldn't get sick. You know, he's negative, by the way.
Yeah.
You know. So the whole idea that someone who is HIV negative has a stronger immune system than someone who is positive, I've proven that myself to be false. I've done a lot of reading and I found out in my research that when the military started doing mandatory testing for those entering into the military, they found that HIV was split evenly between men and women, 50-50.
In the 80s.
Yeah. But yet the AIDS cases were 90-10, 90% male, 10% female. So that right there would let you know that maybe HIV isn't the culprit here. And that's when people start to look at other factors such as drug use and antibiotic use and douches. I am someone who's never been much into medications. You know, I don't take antibiotics. I don't take medicine for anything. I'm not a doucher. So my good bacteria is always in there. So as a result, I don't get sick often. I don't stress at all. And I live a stress-free life, and that has helped me a lot.
How do you think you're able to live a stress-free life when there is so much stress around in general?
Well, I have a very simple philosophy. If something's going on in my life that I don't like, if I'm able to change it, I change it. And if I'm not able to change it, there's no use in worrying about it, because I can't change it anyway.
By your being here, do you feel that you can still change something?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I live my life that way.
What do you think about the enormous effort on the part of the Western countries, particularly the US, and their fight, so-called AIDS in Africa? It
causes me to be very distrustful. I do not trust the media, and I never really have, because I know that they would tell us what they want to tell us. And until we go there and find out for ourselves, we really never know the real reason or the real story. I honestly believe AIDS in Africa is not a problem. I believe the problem in Africa is malnutrition and unsanitary conditions. And I believe that if we give them mosquito nets, and clean water and nutritious food, they will recover.
Yeah.
They're not sick from AIDS, they're sick from malaria and tuberculosis and poverty.
Yeah.
Those things that they have been sick with for hundreds of years now. It's nothing new.
Yeah.
The same here. You will find a lot of those who are dying of AIDS are in the very poor communities. They're poor. Oodles and noodles and hot dogs is not a nutritious meal. And when you are malnourished and you're poor, so you're constantly worrying about money, you're not sleeping well, your immune system is going to be compromised. That's just that's what stress does. It compromises your immune system. When you're sleeping 4 hours a night because you're constantly worrying about money, your immune will be compromised. And when people get sick and they call it AIDS, they're given antiviral drugs. So I believe that's the real culprit here, poverty. People have sex and they produce children. If sex was causing these people to die, how would the population in Africa continually increase over the years? That's a common sense look. We could look at the trends in Africa, and we've seen the graphs inside just yesterday of how the African population is increasing steadily, even throughout the 80s when HIV was supposedly at its peak. We are demonized for looking at the graphs and saying there's something wrong with this statistic here. If AIDS is killing 30% of the population in Africa, why is the population continually increasing?
We heard, I think it was David Rasnick yesterday finishing his presentation, saying that he has the hope that one day Africans in America will start asking why does the alleged virus seem to be discriminating between white and black.
It's very much discriminated here as well in America. We are taught this a lot in church, that HIV, that black women, they say, are number one in HIV positives right now. And Latino women are right behind us. And black men are very high in HIV infections. And they are saying it's because of our sexuality. Now, white people are having sex as well. When you hear about the bathhouses and you go onto the websites, onto the gay websites, they're mostly white. They're mostly white. So I'm thinking they're having sex just as much as the African Americans are, but yet they are not testing positive as rapidly as the African Americans. And then you have a lot of African Americans, like you have a lot of whites that we've seen inside, who are in committed relationships, are in marriages for years and test positive, and their partners are negative. And they have yet to explain that, why the partners have not become positive after years of being married with someone who was. I had a partner in the early 2000s. We dated for 2 years, and he tested positive for the first time just last year. We never used protection. And there were many others that he was sleeping with. I was not the only one. And to test positive for the first time last year, which was 6 years after we broke up. Why did no one question why he remained negative for so long?
Thank you very much.
Sure, anytime.